channel, it's me, David. Today I'm in my chicken coop and I just put down a fresh layer of bedding, and I thought, I could do a video real quick on my chicken coop. There's a lot of people starting to raise chickens, and I think the main reason why right now is because the price of eggs. People don't want to pay for eggs, so they think, well, I'll get some chickens and I'll start having my own eggs at home. And as nice as that sounds, and it is nice, it doesn't happen that quick. If you go buy chicks at the Tractor Supply or wherever that's selling chicks close by, you're gonna be waiting quite a while, about I think 5 to 6 months before they start laying eggs. But that gives you plenty of time to get ready for a big setup, or not a big setup, depending on how many chickens you have. A lot of people go to Tractor Supply or other stores that sell livestock related products, and they buy what are called chicken tractors, and those are small coops that house about 3 to 4 chickens. I think they advertise them to house like about 6, but in all honesty, something that small you probably don't want more than 3 or 4 in there. But I thought I would just do a quick video on my chicken coop. And what I have is a 6-foot by 10-foot shed that's converted into a chicken coop. I have 8 nest boxes you can see behind me, and the chickens come in here. I have 5 roosts that they sleep on at night, and I have feed and water inside the coop here for them. Outside of the coop they have, I believe it's a 12-foot long by 6-foot wide run, and it's covered in chicken wire. It's not very fancy at all, but it keeps them safe, and if they have to be confined in here on days that there's bad weather, I know I'm not going to be home before dark, then they have that area to go outside and enjoy some fresh air. There's several ways that people keep chickens, and most people keep them where I live and free range them. So those chickens every day get to go outside into the real world. They get to eat real vegetation that's growing naturally. They're eating any kind of insect they come across, small invertebrates, anything. They're just living a really somewhat natural life, and they're getting a lot of nutrients just from their environment. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion, if you can do it that way. Now, not everybody does that. Some people have chickens in their backyard and they live in town and just have a few hens, and you gotta work with what you can do. So that's understandable if you do it that way. I honestly prefer free ranging my chickens, and one of the main reasons why is feed costs. On days where my chickens don't get to free range due to weather, or I know I'm not going to be home that evening, they eat probably twice as much feed inside the coop as they would whenever they're outside looking for natural foods. And I think it's just healthier for them in general. I wouldn't want to be locked up in a little cage all the time, me personally anyway, so why would they? So that's why I free range personally. Let's talk a little bit about inside your coop. So I have 8 nest boxes, but you don't need that many. It depends on how many chickens you have. I have right now 23 chickens, 4 ducks, and 3 guineas. I count them every night. But so I have 8 nest boxes, and that suits me just fine. And right now it's the end of winter time. We're getting close to spring, and I'm getting about 6 eggs a day. In the summertime, I'm going to get close to 20, probably about 20 eggs almost daily. Let's talk a little bit about feed next. I feed my birds 16% layer pellets that I get at my local feed mill, and along with that I also feed scratch grains that has cracked corn and other grains mixed in, and I mix that with whole corn, so they're getting a variety of feed. I don't give them grit to eat because I free range my birds. They get out in the grass and in the dirt, and they're finding tiny little rocks to eat. If you're keeping your chickens pinned in all the time, you're gonna have to provide them grit, especially if you're feeding them hard grains that their body needs to digest and process. One of the most important things you have to do at all times for your chickens is to provide clean, fresh water 100% of the time. If they're thirsty, they need to have access to water, and that could be at any point in time during the day, so always keep fresh water for your birds. Another thing I'd like to talk about, chickens don't like to sleep on the ground. Their instincts tell them they need to sleep up high, that way predators that might be on the ground aren't going to be able to reach them and eat them, kill them and eat them. So I have several high perches in my coop. I think I have a total of 5 perches. Chickens aren't the greatest flyers. They can make it up pretty high if they need to, but it depends on the breed and size of the chicken. Some chickens can fly very well. I mean, not for very long periods of times, but they can get up high if they need to. But other large breed chickens just can't do it because of their mass, and they don't have strong enough wings. So I always stagger my perches, that way the chickens can hop from the lowest to the next highest to the very highest. And at nighttime, the chickens usually sleep on either the highest or the second highest roost. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to come back in the coop tonight with my camera and a flashlight whenever I'm counting my birds to make sure that all of them are here, and just show you how they roost and how it looks at night whenever this thing's full of birds. I just want to touch on one more thing. I'd mentioned those chicken tractors being fairly small. I know plenty of people that love them, and I know people that do keep 6 or more chickens inside of them, and what they do is they add an extra little run on the outside to give them more space to walk around and get fresh air. So that completely can work. I was not trying to discourage anybody that watches this from getting one of those. One benefit to the chicken tractors also is they're movable, so every day you can move your chickens onto a fresh piece of grass, and as they're there and they're eating, drinking, using the bathroom, creating waste, they're fertilizing your yard. So those chicken tractors are great in that aspect. And actually I plan on building something similar to a chicken tractor this summer to grow butcher chickens and butcher ducks that I'm gonna eat. I'll go ahead and tell you what kind of chickens that I have right now. I have a couple Rhode Island Reds, I have some Brahmas, Black Astropalorps, White Leghorns, California Whites, Isa Browns, and Barred Rocks. Now for egg laying, my favorite 2 breeds right now are the Black Australorps and White Leghorns. White Leghorns, they lay white eggs, and I'm telling you, in my opinion, they just do the best. They lay eggs more than any of the other white egg layers that I've personally kept. And then the Black Australorps for the brown eggs are my favorite. Those 2 birds, in my opinion, lay the most eggs if that's what you're after. If you think there's any breeds better than the Leghorn and Australorp, let me know in the comment section why. Maybe I'll add them to my flock. Alright, it's nighttime in the coop. All the birds are on their roosts. There's a guinea. More chickens. Now young chickens haven't quite figured out the roost yet, so they sit up on top of the nest box where the water is. The water is up there. I didn't explain this earlier. The water's up high because my ducks, if they could reach it, they would make a mess and it'd get really sloppy and nasty and wet in the coop. So if they get thirsty, they got to go out a little door right there, and they have water on the outside. But that's it. They're all the birds are getting ready for bed. The door's closed. There's no drafts in here. It's in the mid-20s outside, but in here it's pretty nice. It's not warm, but there's no wind. So they're happy. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from this video, and if you decide to get chickens, that's awesome. If you already have them, then you probably know most of everything I just said, but at least you got to see mine. Alright, bye.